if God has a heart for other people, I want to have a heart for those people too. I want some of my time, my money, my treasure, my things. I want to be generous towards there. Welcome to the Getting Better podcast. Thanks so much for listening, clicking that link, and choosing to get better. We don't know it all. We are not experts, but what we do want to do, we want to grow and we want to get better. And as always, Gage, what's going on, my man?
What's up, Gunnar? What's up? You're right. We don't know it all. We actually, I would say, know little, but we're learning.
Yeah, I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to be perfected. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to say it.
I think Lecrae said that in a song, or she probably say that somewhere.
That's pretty good. Maybe we get Lecrae on.
Yeah, we'll see about that one. Yeah, he probably wouldn't. We don't what we won't say that. I don't think he wants to hang out with us. Probably, I would love to hang out with him. But yeah, we're trying to grow and get better. And I think there's different ways to get better. For us, I like to have conversations and grow together, but also talking to different people. It's been so good. It's been so encouraging, some of the conversations we've had for
What about
me.
the stories, man, of the people we've had on? Unbelievable of what God does and how He moves and what He does in their life. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of knowing more and more people. You see how God moves more and more in other people's lives.
If nothing else, us doing what we're doing here with the Getting Better podcast, hearing people's testimonies, stories, and it builds my faith, man. And if you're listening or watching, I hope it builds yours too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been a cool thing to be a part of.
Absolutely.
So excited. But today we are getting better. Listen, no one likes a selfish person. Nobody.
True.
But the thing is, we all are naturally selfish. So we're constantly fighting that battle of like, I do want what's best for me, but I know that that's not the best way to be. Like God calls us to be differently. And what I call that selfish person is that selfish person inside of me that I'm constantly fighting is the me monster. I feel like I'm fighting a me monster every day because it's about my time, my money, my this, my that, and it's just like a constant battle of like, hey, I need to kill him off. Why? Because one, no one wants to be around anybody selfish.
Right.
Two, like God calls us to be servants, to be something greater. And so we want to kill the me monster. We want to be unselfish people.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I'd ever heard it called me monster until we were talking about doing this for the pod, and that's a pretty good saying. That is what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And I think with our culture, man, it kind of promotes that. It promotes self. And it's easy to fall into, I think, and it's easy to fall into and not even realize, I think,
Absolutely.
Because I think it's our natural, whatever is to be selfish with our time or whatever that may be. With my posts on social media, even.
Yeah.
It's just easy to be that way because we can, you can say you don't like it, but you're lying probably. If somebody says something good about you, or it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's just natural for there to be a little bit of selfishness in everybody.
Yeah, and when we say selfishness, we're not saying that you can't have time to decompress, you can't have time to relax, you can't because you do need that kind of time. But what I'm saying is, are you living a life all about you?
Yeah.
Like who's the main story or who's the main character in your life?
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
And if we're all being honest, like it tends to lean towards us. And it's like I want to make God the main character of my story. And easier to talk about on a podcast, hard to do.
I've always heard a guy say, he's like, if we are walking around this earth like mirrors, all right, and people are looking at us, I don't want them to see myself. I don't want them to see me, you're right, or nothing what I can do because that's not going to do anything for them. You know what I'm saying? I want them to see God, and it's easy to get tied up in, wanting self, to be even promoted or self whatever, man. And it's a hard thing, but a verse in 1 Corinthians come to mind. I have it wrote down here somewhere. It says, let each of you look out not only for your own interests, but also for the interest of others. And I think if we can live with that, at least in the back of our minds, then it'll definitely help us a whole lot.
Yeah, live for the interest of others. Why do we want to get rid of the me monster? I think first is we want to honor God. God has called us to live a different way. I had this conversation the other night with high school small group guys is like, if God has created this world, we'll start it this way. If Gage created a Ford Mustang motor, if he is the inventor of it, he probably knows how to work on it best. He probably knows the ins and outs of it. He probably knows what it's designed for, what's not designed for, how to fix it, what's going on with it, what's best for it, what's the best fuel for it, what's the best oil, what's going to make it run the best. He knows the ins and outs of it. Why? Because he created it. Well, God created you, and he created this world. And so he probably knows what's best, what you need, what's the best way to live in this life, how to get along with people, how to live a fulfilled life. God probably knows what's the best way to live on this earth and with people. And he knows what's best for your life. And one of those things is he calls us to live for the needs of others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that selfishness does is it, honestly, I think we can think of somebody we know in our lives, maybe, that's selfish. And what it does is isolate you. All right. It's going to disrupt whatever relationship you're trying to have with other people. It's going to disrupt that. Okay. Because nobody wants to be around that type of person. Right?
Exactly.
That's just what it does. Right. And so,
so if you don't have any friends right now,
yeah,
it could be because you're selfish. There could be other reasons, but
yeah,
we'll start there.
Start there. But as Christians, we're called to reflect Christ, and I think we need to do that in our relationships with others. But selfishness can really disrupt whatever relationship we have with anyone. Because like I said, first of all, nobody wants to be around that. That's just facts, man. We can think of people. Maybe somebody comes to mind, and no, you don't want to be around that person, right? So again, we're called to reflect Christ, and I think to do that, we've got to kill that me monster. And I think there are multiple ways to do it. We'll start with I think the first one is humility.
Oh yeah,
right. Humility is one way we can kill that me monster.
Yeah, I think humility just is saying, hey, I'm not focusing as much on myself. I'm going to focus on it. Like I want to put myself not necessarily like beneath as importance, not beneath it, but like I want to just focus. I want my time and energy to be focused on serving other people. I want to be focused on others. It's saying it's not. We said this before in the podcast, but it's not thinking less of yourself. It's just thinking of yourself less. Hey, I want to magnify someone else. I want to focus on them. And there's a Bible verse. I think it's James 4:6. Y'all can probably fact check me on that, but it says, God opposes the proud. So if you're walking around with your chest puffed up, look at me. Pride is all, look at me. Look what I've done. Look at what I can do. Look at my accomplishments. Look at my Instagram. Look at what I can do. Just look at me. Look at my trophies. But humility says, look at other people. So God opposes that proud spirit, but he shows favor to those who are humble. And so what does a humble person look like? It says, look at them, or look at you. Look what you can do. Look how great that is, man. I'm so proud of you.
Not self,
but others. Look how great they are doing. Look at what God's doing through them. It's looking outwards, looking at others. And God, he opposes that proud spirit, but he shows favor to those who are walking in humility.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I think of, again, this is what we do. We're trying to get better. Of course, we're trying to get better in our walk with Christ. And so as Christians, okay, when we're talking about how we can model this, of not being selfish, you try to think of a person that has done that, right? And obviously the greatest example of any of that, whether it be leading or just being a person everybody loves, is Jesus. He's the greatest example of that. Okay, and this is what he says: the King of, he's the King, the Master. This is what he says though in Matthew. He says the greatest among you is going to be your servant. Okay, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled; those who humble themselves will be exalted. So the call there is to embrace that humility, right? And if Jesus did it, it's what he did, right? He washed disciples' feet. And served. The Bible says actually he healed every single person that came in contact with him that needed it. He served others. And if we're trying to think of an example to follow, it has to be his. And so if he shows humility to get rid of that selfishness, we need to show that same humility. If the king says, hey, you need to be a servant, we need to be a servant. We need to be humble.
Absolutely, man. You walk around in humility, and I think this, which leads into what I think is the second way to get rid of that selfishness, is go serve someone else. Like the best way to get your eyes off yourself is get your eyes off yourself. Put them on the people.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like just go,
Absolutely.
you know, step away from the mirror, step away from your want tos, your goals, and say, hey, how can I help someone else? How can I invest in somebody else? Maybe you're a leader and you want to invest in someone else being a leader one day, or maybe you're like, maybe you just need to go to a serve day project and say, hey, let me give up my Saturday, give up my weekend, and say, my weekend's not about me, but it's about others, and see what that does in you, and see how what God does to your spirit as you start to serve people, as you start to meet the needs of others, as you around Christmas time, we do different things, but as you do giveaways and food giveaways to families that need it, when you start to see stuff like that, when you start to be a part of stuff like that, it does something on the inside of you. And then you don't forget those faces that you make a difference in.
It changes the posture of your heart. That's what it does. It changes the posture of your heart, right? And so whatever, it's hard to be selfish, when you're giving to others and when you're serving others. And that's what it does. That's what serving does. That's why it's good to put others first, because when you do that, it'll change the posture of your heart. I like what Paul says. He says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or in vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, right? And he says, not looking at your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. And, man, that sums up the message of being a Christian, right? Live for others.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do, live for others.
Yeah, value others. And what do you value more right now if you're taking inventory? If you took your hour by hour, day by day, your conversation by conversation, the last conversation you had with somebody, are you adding more value to them, or are you adding more value to you? And are you saying, hey, here's all this stuff I've done? And I get guilty of this sometimes too. I mean, I have just had a conversation with Gage, and I felt like I talked about me for more than half the time. And he was encouraging me, being a good friend. But if I want to look at my life and say, hey, the conversations I had today, the way I walked today, the people I came in contact with today, I was looking out for their interests more than mine.
Yeah, well, and I think practical ways of doing that, of putting others first, and I think one good way of that, man, is just listening to what your friends saying. I'll be honest, I mean, seriously, that's one way to put somebody first. Okay, just listen to what they're going through. Maybe they have something they want to share, or maybe it's a random person, they have something they want to share. That's one way. But another way, I think, is sometimes we got to sacrifice our own, and this is hard to do. It's hard to do. Nobody wants to do this. Okay, sacrificing our own desires, okay, and our own wants. That's hard to do, right? But that's part of putting others first. I like. Another verse that comes to my mind is in John. Jesus is saying, I'm not even going to try to say where the verse is, but he's saying, everybody's going to know you're my disciples if you love one another. Okay, and that's what ultimately we're called to do. And if you're loving somebody, you're putting others first. If you love them, you're going to put them first. And right. That is how Jesus said the world will know we're his disciples. That's pretty important.
Yeah, man. And to be honest, I want to be known as Jesus. So
that's good company.
Yeah, that's good company, right? If I want to be known as someone who loves people well, and I want people to know that I'm with him.
I think as we talk about and we think about how the kingdom Jesus came to bring was an upside down kingdom, right? This is one of those. Okay, it don't seem comfortable to do because it's not really practiced in our culture today, right? Is putting others first, right? It's put self first. And there's nothing wrong with these things that I'm about to say, but I'm going to use these examples. I'm going to try to get to this position, in my job or in my career. I'm going to try to make this for myself, or I need this to happen for myself. And all those things are okay. I'm not saying that. But there is a dangerous slope of selfishness because Jesus says we got to put others first, which again is totally different from what our world and our culture teaches. And I think we said this maybe a couple episodes ago. That's what Jesus came to do. He flipped everything upside down. And getting rid of that selfishness is one thing that is certainly flipped upside down what Jesus brought.
Yeah, ambition, I think by itself is not bad, but it talks about that selfish ambition. And it's not bad to, be ambitious and but why are you doing that? Is it for yourself? Is it because you want to prove somebody wrong? Because you want to be a top dog? Or why do you want to be a top dog? Like, what are your motives behind that? Is it just because you want to elevate yourself? Or are you getting all this done in the process? Are you going to elevate, God's name, Jesus, and make him famous? Like, what are you working this hard to benefit other people? What are the reasons behind this? And part of it is, you think about work. Maybe you want to honor those who are with you. Maybe you just want to honor God with your daily work, and a byproduct of that is your promotion. It is, I think a byproduct of your faithfulness, God will take care of it. Byproduct of your faithfulness, why you work hard, why you do things, God will take care of the rest of the stuff, right? And so it's not bad to necessarily want things, but why do you want them?
I think that's a good point, because the verse doesn't say, it doesn't say don't do anything out of ambition. That's not what it says. It says don't do anything out of selfish ambition, right? Or vain conceit. And those are two totally different things. Selfish ambition and ambition, right? It's good to be ambitious. You should be. But that's a great point. It's that selfish ambition that can really get us in trouble.
Yeah. And usually when people are extremely on that selfish, ambitious path, they don't really care who's in the way.
No.
They don't see others. And I think when you get on that train of going as hard as you can for yourself, it's like nothing else matters but your goals, your stuff. What am I going to achieve? When God's like, hey, like, you're missing the people that are right there next to you that I've called you to love.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and another topic that we had was to kill that me monster is generosity. And the only reason I went ahead and brought that up, because to me, that's the most difficult one. And I'm not talking about generosity with money or things like that. When I seen that earlier, I thought, my time. I'm so selfish with my time.
The me monster says my time, my money, my
absolutely.
stuff. The me monster is like, this is mine. And I'm not saying you have to steward your time correctly and all that stuff. I'm learning that the busier I get. Like, I totally understand that you just can't do everything. You can't say yes to everything. I totally understand that. But, is your time all about you?
Yeah. And something that was coming to my mind, and you're probably pretty good at this, and my wife is really good at what I'm about to say. She'll call people and talk for a long time. Okay. And I can't do that. That's just not who I am. I can't do that. But it's wanting to give her time to know more about their life, seriously. And I'm sitting here thinking about this. I have a commute, okay, every day to work. It's 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. And that's such a good time, such a good space to use my time generously to do those things. And I rarely do it. I rarely do it. And it's because I'm that time that I'm debriefing, right, after teaching 50 kids, running around screaming, I cherish that. And that's not bad, right? When I'm thinking of more ways to be generous with my time, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, man. I mean,
that's great.
Well, we're talking about getting better. That's an area, just be a little vulnerable. That I want to get better. I want to be able to, I don't know. I want to be able to keep up more. And if it's a phone call, there's nothing wrong with a phone call. Now, it might just be 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be a 25-minute phone call, but
if you had to talk for an hour, what would you talk about?
I'd have to start talking about basketball. I don't think I could do that.
What do you think about the pick and roll?
Yeah, literally, that's what it would have to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I drive a lot too, so like that'll be helpful for me, man. I mean, and I do call some people because my job, I'm on the road all day, so it's a little bit different structured. But yeah, man, it's easy to be selfish with. Okay, this is my time. I can listen to this podcast. I can just listen to this music. I can just do this. I can just kind of decompress after dealing with X, Y, and Z, and it's tempting to do that. And I'm not saying you don't need that at times, because you do.
100%.
You got to have to rest. And I'm trying to learn that more and more as I get older. But, where's your time? Where's your money? Where are those things that we can be selfish with? Or where are they going? And they're usually going to myself. One of I think it's Matthew, Jesus talking is like, hey, wherever your treasure is, there your heart is also. And your treasure is your money, of course, but your time.
Absolutely.
It's your
I
talents.
think I'd about treasure that most.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You can't get it back.
No.
And so where's that stuff going? And where that stuff going is where your heart is. So if your treasure, your money, your time, your talent is going to maybe golf, and the golf ain't a bad thing, but like if all of it's going there, maybe that is, that's where your heart's at. And if God has a heart for other people, I want to have a heart for those people too. I want some of my time, my money, my treasure, my things. I want to be generous towards there.
Absolutely. And the Bible says it's more blessed to give than receive, right? Also, another thing that's easy to hear, hard to do, right? I mean, just to be honest with you.
But I can amen it all day.
Yeah.
Bro.
Same. We'll just say, okay, got to do that. I don't know. No, but that's who God is, right? I mean, that's who God is. The Bible says God so loved the world that he gave. And if he's going to give, I need to give too.
Absolutely.
I need to give too, because we're all given different things and different maybe influence in people's lives, or maybe, whatever the blessing in your life is, I don't know. But I want to be a good steward of that, okay? And if it's a relationship with someone that I need to be a good steward of, maybe it's a call on the drive home. Probably drive home. The drive to work would be like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not doing that. So it'd be the drive home for sure. But if it's a call on the drive home to be a good steward of the relationship I have with that person, then I need to do that, right? I need to do that. Also, like it's, I don't know, somewhere in the Gospels, and Jesus is talking about, he says if you get sued and they take your coat, you need to give them your shirt too. And then he says if someone asks you to go 1 mile with them, you need to go with them too. Right? And so just having that mentality of, I'm going to give even more than what the person needs. I'm going to give even more than what the person needs. And because that's who Jesus is, that's what he does. And I think if we could do that, we'll feel that verse that says it's more blessed to give than receive.
Yeah, man. I think there's another proverb that says, and we've shared this before, but if you refresh others, you too will be refreshed. And, when you're generous to people, when you refresh others, when you give out of the abundance of what God has given you, whether that's time, talent, money, whatever, maybe God's given you encouragement in your spirit. What a great thing to give somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe God's given you, I don't know, maybe he's given you a life lesson of faithfulness that you can share with somebody else. Whatever God's given you, what I would say is just share it with others. And watch what that makes difference in somebody else, but also watch what it makes difference in you. And I think that is, once you see the difference that it makes, that'll gradually kill that me monster.
That's where that blessing comes from. That verse says it's more blessed to give than receive.
Yeah.
If you see the difference that it makes in the people's lives, we were talking about this a minute ago. It's freeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's freeing. Not only does it kill the me monster, you're going to feel more blessed than what you actually did before.
Right.
I mean, you are. And it's one of those things that you gotta try, you gotta practice. And listen, if you don't believe, just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it.
Yeah. I mean, the world's way of selfishness isn't working. No one likes selfish people. Like, no one likes the know-it-alls. There's grace for everyone. Sometimes I can come across as a know-it-all or selfish guy. I know that as well. Gage is here to hold me accountable. But the thing is that way it's probably not working for you. And so give the unselfishness, kill the me monster, give the way that Jesus described. Give that a try.
Yeah, and again, because we're doing a faith-based, podcast about getting better, when we're thinking about how to do that, man, it's just to live like Christ. I mean, really, that's what, if you could sum it up in, how many words is that? 3? If you could just live like Christ, live like Christ. If we can do that, then our blessings are going to come, but also we're going to feel better in those times, okay? Then instead of hoarding our time or hoarding, maybe it's financially, I don't know, whatever it is, we're going to feel better in that generosity when we live like Christ. That's really what it boils down to, what we're trying to do. If we do that, we're going to get better. We're not going to have a choice but to get better.
Yeah, and that's why Jesus modeled it for us. We don't have to go far to look for example. You just got to go to the Bible and see what God's done in the Bible and Jesus, how he walked, how he lived, and he lived that way.
Absolutely.
So we're killing the me monster. We're not going to be selfish people anymore.
That's right.
We're going to do that by first
Humility.
I'm going to give Gage a second.
Thank you.
Second, we're going to serve others. And third,
We're going to be generous.
we're going to be generous people. So thanks, Gage. You're awesome, man. Thank you all so much for listening. Click on the link. We appreciate you so much. Why? Because you are choosing to get better. And we believe everybody around you is going to get better as you get better. So like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And until next time, keep on getting better.